Hey guys, here we go into a video on the birth of Money Mayweather and the death of Pretty Boy Floyd. And we're going to be analyzing the fight with him and Emmanuel Burton or Emmanuel Augustus and going to be seeing why these changes kind of happened and what had happened and how these all affect the flow of the fight and the Floyd Mayweather that we got. Okay, so first we're going to take a look at one of the two skills that I think most encompass my idea of Money Mayweather. Okay, number one, so we're going to take a look. It's the way he starts off his fights and his rounds when his opponents use a lot of feinting and probing. Now here, Mayweather is going to be doing it fine here, but he's going to be challenging Ricky Hatton on the line here because he thinks he's faster, he thinks he's this. But notice, he didn't feint, he didn't probe, he didn't do anything to set this up. Boom, he immediately gets countered by Ricky Hatton on the jab. Right? He used his most explosive move, the pendulum step. He no feinting, no probing. Not only did he not protect his position on the way in, right? But he didn't protect his position on the way out either. He didn't defend the position. After he throws the position, right? He's completely out of position and gets caught. But he didn't feint, he didn't probe, and he didn't get Ricky Hatton out of position to counter. Now, is Ricky Hatton a boxer? Everyone thinks he's just a brawler, right? But here, he's going to be beating Mayweather to the punch on first contact almost every time, okay? Here he is again, Mayweather trying that fancy left hook here, getting feinted, boom, and getting caught on first contact. 20 seconds into the fight, Mayweather's been completely outboxed so far. No feinting, no probing. He's not protecting his position. He's not defending his position after he moves into it. He's just getting hit. Classic being outboxed. Now, Ricky Hatton puts on a lot of pressure. Let's take a look at Ricky Hatton now, okay? What is he doing when he gets on the line? Feinting, changing to position one, rolling back to position two, getting on the line. As soon as he gets on the line, he's ready for the timing because he has so many positions available to him. Ricky Hatton was an animal. Very likely the most underrated fighter of our generation. And had he not actually just gotten smoked by Pacquiao, he could have gone on to get a rematch and maybe beat Mayweather with a more fair referee and as we talk about other stuff here. But all the head movement, all the positioning of Ricky Hatton, position one, back foot, position one, position two, pendulum stepping forward. Like, look at the way that he can cover the distance between his opponent, right? And feint with his active guard, right? And use that to control the space between him and someone who's considered the greatest fighter of all time by so many people in this completely uneducated generation. Now, feinted here, and look at pendulum steps forward. He's able to cover that ground and come forward and put all this free pressure on Mayweather, and boom, he slips to the front foot, and Mayweather says, I got to attack that position. I can't let him be there. And Hatton's already gone and countering, okay? So what does Mayweather do to counter this, okay? Now, actually, I want to show you round two as well, the start of round two, because I think it's even more impressive. But here he comes. Hatton's coming out again. Oh, wait, he already beat Mayweather to the punch here. So he comes out here, immediately gets to the front foot, just like Mayweather did. Remember when Mayweather missed his leaping shot? Here comes Hatton, same leaping punch, but he actually catches and stuns Mayweather. Now Mayweather's going to sit on the ropes and let him throw some punches and tie him up. Classic Mayweather. Okay, cool. Now he's going, chasing, putting pressure on him, beats him to the punch again. Mayweather tries to control the distance, right? No feinting, no probing, no positional changes, only athleticism. Gets countered. We're not going to count it as a clean punch. Who cares? Doesn't matter. There are enough of them in the film study. So, where's the other one? There was a big punch that he lands. It might be this next engagement. Okay, he's getting him to the ropes. And again, classic check hook timing, right? Mayweather gets countered. So why is it that Hatton gets decimated later in the fight doing basically the exact same thing, right? Well, because Mayweather is getting smashed here, right? Well, this is one of those tactics I think that Mayweather picked up after the Emmanuel Burton fight, was using his pendulum step in a very, very defensive way at the beginning of the rounds, okay? So here the round starts, and now he's just going to be running. He's just running away, okay? He's pendulum stepping away. He's trying to slow Hatton down because Hatton comes out with this head movement, right? He comes out, and instead of Mayweather feinting and probing and attacking Hatton's positions, because he keeps getting countered, because he's losing that battle. In fact, if you look at the scorecard, I believe they're going to show the scorecard here in a second. Come on, don't disappoint me. They actually have Hatton winning the fight right now, okay? But look at what happens, okay? Hatton comes out with all this speed, all this intensity, putting all this pressure on, throwing his weight around, feinting, foot feinting, right? Boom. Getting to the front foot, feint. Feint. Mayweather has to respond, feint, because if he doesn't, Hatton's going to hit him, feint. Now watch the change in tempo here, okay? This is his first Money Mayweather trap, okay? Just run around the ring until you stop moving your head and you just start going, okay, well, what are we doing here then? Pop. And then he starts attacking you. But he doesn't do it with feinting. He doesn't do it with probing. He cannot do it with his punches because he doesn't hit hard enough. We're going to get to that in the film study when we start watching Emmanuel Burton. But this is a mainstay tactic of Floyd Mayweather. When the round starts, if you're using any type of feinting, any type of probing, any type of positional changes, Mayweather will literally just run away from you. He will not engage you. He will wait for you to slow down or realize that he's not going to stop and he's a better, faster runner than you. And he'll wait to pot shot you because when you get on the line and you get stuck with him, he actually is faster than you, right? So watch this. Chasing him here. Now Hatton slows down, right? Now he's walking. Mayweather slows down too. Uh-oh, Hatton picked it up. Now Mayweather realizes, okay, I don't want to be here now, right? Again, if Hatton's putting any kind of pressure on him, Mayweather's just trying to slow him down, right? Tie him up until he gets him into a position in which he's no longer using an active guard, right? Until he puts himself into a position where he's much more predictable and Mayweather can start doing this, wrestling him, and then using his superior size or whatever. We're going to take a look at one more round just because I want to show it. I wanted you to see every round because he was getting smoked on the line, because he doesn't feint and probe, because he's not as good of an athlete as actually Ricky Hatton is. He's not even as good of a fighter as Ricky Hatton was. It's just that Mayweather didn't have to follow the rules. Now we're going to take a look at the second Money Mayweather rule or Money Mayweather tactic that he picked up, and it was, where's a good one here? I think there's some Corrales in this bad boy. Ah, yes. So this is a video, Floyd Mayweather defensive genius, okay? Now, actually, what I want to play first, what do we remember from Floyd Mayweather versus Diego Corrales? Oh, I don't even have that one open, do I? Oh, yes, I do. What do we remember from that, okay? Well, we remember these big punches. We remember that. We remember him knocking him down with these big hooks here, right? We remember all this stuff. But do we remember him getting hit in the head here while he's dominating him? No, I'm just kidding. But we remember these highlights, right? We remember these big punches. Again, this stuff. Wow, great punch. Wow. But how do we get here, right? Well, the only reason that we got there is because when Mayweather would get in the corner, he would have to do stuff like this and duck below the waist, okay? He would have to move here into positions like this and cheat, okay? As a fighter, we are not allowed to throw punches below our opponent's waistband, right? But where is Mayweather? He's below his own waistband. Look at it. His head is almost on the ground. This position is nearly exactly the same as turning your back on your opponent because all of your legal targets are now in an illegal zone, okay? And this was a tactic that Mayweather picked up after he got his ass beat by Emmanuel Burton. And it was an ass beating. Even though Mayweather was arguably winning, he didn't used to do this kind of stuff, okay? Again, ducking below the waist, trying to tie up. Perfectly fine defense here, right? Escaping off the line. But his opponent at least had an opportunity to throw punches at him. Mayweather throwing punches. Oh, wait. Ducking below the waist, right? Again, cheating. Cheating. Fine. Perfectly fine defense. Perfectly fine defense. Now, I want you to take a look at this clip here. When you run away from your opponent, this is not a free move here, right? This is not free. We're going to take a look at that in a second because this is the normal flow of the path. If you move off the line with your opponent, this is normally how it always looks, right? If you don't duck below the waist and try to get here and then tie your opponent up. Cheater. So, that's the stuff that we don't remember. But what else do we not remember? Well, here's Mayweather fighting Angel Manfredi, and we're going to watch the last minute of this fight, okay? Here he is getting pushed around, right? He's landed some bangers of punches in this fight, okay? Actually, we're going to take a look at one of them right away. Here they are on the line. First punch of the fight. He times the jab. Boom. That is one of the loudest punches I've ever heard at the beginning of a fight ever. It was just, should have been a knockout, right? But Mayweather doesn't actually have a very good position one, okay? Number one, when he gets in this position and he's baiting this punch, he's in the front foot, right? But he doesn't actually transfer his weight to the back foot when he pull counters. His weight actually stays here. So what he's actually trying to do is kind of jump into it and make a pendulum right hand out of his pull counter, okay? But he doesn't actually get his head to his front foot. He doesn't actually get his weight into this punch. He has all this extra space here, right? So even though he lands this punch perfectly, right? His position one is so compromised, he's not actually able to get his weight into this massive, massive punch that he actually already jumped into, right? Normal people would be knocked out, right? If the guy was a decent puncher, straight knockout. So we get here, Angel Manfredi is eating punches like that all round long, still coming forward against Mayweather, still pressuring him. Again, Mayweather doesn't feint. Mayweather doesn't probe, right? As we see here, a little bit of jabbing, just shooting the jab out. A little bit of getting on the front foot, no feinting, no probing, getting walked into a punch, a little bit of lead hand control, good work, shifting his weight to the back foot, throws a punch as Angel Manfredi comes onto the line with him, right? But Angel Manfredi sees that punch coming. Mayweather makes a huge mistake, throwing a power punch to somebody's back line. So Angel Manfredi's easily able to slip to the front foot and land this body shot. Now, this is what's supposed to happen when you miss a punch, okay? Now look, Mayweather's not going to duck below the waist here, and he eats a body shot. That's the cost of business, okay? Mayweather is in one of the worst positions in boxing, okay? You're not allowed to just duck below this punch here and slide out, or duck below that punch and sit here and wait for the ref to break you, right? As you come up and try to grab somebody's waist. No. You eat your punches like a man, right? Like all your opponents do, okay? And again, Mayweather doesn't have the feinting, the probing. He doesn't have the ability to offset his opponent's rhythm. He doesn't have the ability to do that with his punching power alone. But when we look at this clip here, that's all he's really looking to do, is try to use his athleticism to jump into punches as Manfredi times his weight on the front foot. Now, I also want you to take a look at the idea that Angel Manfredi is kind of a poor man's Ricky Hatton, right? Now, he does get smoked and he's going to get knocked out eventually, like in a couple rounds. He's just not the fittest. He's doing a great job moving his head, right? Slipping that shot, timing Mayweather. Again, Mayweather does not feint. He does not probe. He does not do a good job of using these tools to protect his punches, okay? He does not do a good job of using those tools to protect his positions, okay? He just likes to throw a lot of punches. And again, we're going to see Angel Manfredi coming forward. He's going to be pendulum stepping. He's going to be getting some good work here. Boom, big leaping hook. Mayweather does an excellent job of just blocking it, right? Regular ass block. He didn't have to duck below the line. But this was way before the Emmanuel Burton fight, the beating that he gets put on him there. And the Corrales fight is immediately after that, okay? So I just wanted to show this clip. No ducking below the waist. Mayweather fought a stand-up boxing fight, ate his punches when he needed to. And now we're going to take a look at the defense of Mayweather not eating the punches when he gets into position, right? Oh, no, we already did that, right? We don't need to look at Canelo doing it too, right? I do want to point this out, though, this little punch right here from Canelo. It's actually a pretty damn good punch that Canelo doesn't get credit for, this punch here. So you get feinted off your line when you pendulum step off and you're jumping off the line. If you get hit by this punch, this is the punch that you're supposed to use to hit someone who's running off the line from you. This is a perfectly legal and landed punch, and I want you to take a look at Canelo jumping into it, right? The punch comes, he misses, Canelo slips his head to the back foot. As he's doing that, he jumps forward with the hook, but as he does that, just like Manny Pacquiao does with his combos, he leads with his left hand, which lines up his shoulder and drags his other shoulder back and allows him to swing that punch into Mayweather. Now look at Mayweather fly through the air when he gets hit with that legal punch to the body. That is not good defense. And this is in a Mayweather defense video, okay? That is what's supposed to happen when you run away from your opponent. You're going to get hit with punches like that over and over and over again. But like this, Mayweather finally finding that punch. And then this is Mayweather trying not to get hit by that punch by ducking here, right? Which is going to offset Canelo's rhythm, right? And is also, we're going to probably see him duck below the waist. Where is it? Come here. And tie him up a bit. I imagine it's in here. Poor defense. He gets hit a bunch of times there. But in any case, the first part, Ricky Hatton being, I'll say being suckered into not being aggressive because Mayweather literally just pendulum stepped away, right? Rather than Ricky Hatton pendulum and chasing him, right? And continuing to put the pressure and making Mayweather look like the runner, he took the bait, slowed down, and allowed Mayweather to meet him on the line in a faster position. Now, when Mayweather ducks below the waist, or when they gotta show it here, man. Ducking below the waist affects the fight in such a negative way because it stops the normal flow of punches from your opponent, right? Now, they're not really showing it in this highlight clip. Usually it's Mayweather's biggest trick, right? Is ducking below the waist. Here, right? Changes the normal flow and path of the fight, right? Which we get to see with the Diego Corrales stuff too. But it also stops your opponent from punching in combination because they don't want you to duck below your jab, right? I wish they would just show it in this clip. It was in this clip. But here we go. So ducking below the jab here, whoop, right? And then bodying up. It prevents your normal flow of punches, right? Coming back with these counters or whatever. But so much of it has to do with the fact that Mayweather is so bad on his front foot, okay? And I want you guys to think about that as we continue to go through the film study. But now we're going to get into the Emmanuel Burton part. I know it's pretty late already, and most people are not even probably watching the film study anymore. But here, we're going to be taking a look, and we're going to be watching the whole fight straight through, kinda, not really. But it takes him a little while to kind of warm up, okay? Actually, we're just going to watch the first round. And Mayweather is coming forward, very active when he gets to the front foot. Lot of punches, right? Not a lot of feinting, right? Not a lot of probing, not a lot of setup, not a lot of head movement. And Emmanuel Burton's going to start to get in his groove, right? He's going to start a little bit slow, but look at him getting his way to the front foot, right? Away from Mayweather's punches. And that's going to allow him to start doing similar things to the pendulum step, right? But there's also going to be a lot of other stuff that's going to happen too, and we're going to take a look at it after Mayweather tires himself out, throwing with his poor punch technique and expecting to knock out another elite athlete, right? Maybe one of his really first well-conditioned athletes. Look at that guy's abs, man. He is in super good shape. But also the idea that he has so much head movement, he can change positions. And let's talk about Emmanuel Burton a little bit. Here he is slipping to the front foot off that jab, right? The jab attacking his middle line. Here he is changing positions, crossing the line, putting pressure on Mayweather. And I want you to think about the idea that Mayweather's not changing positions, right? He doesn't change positions here. He's only going to look to throw this punch at this position from where he is, okay? These are very important ideas because as Emmanuel Burton crosses the line, he changes what the most powerful punch Mayweather can land is, right? So I want you to take a look at this, okay? When Emmanuel Burton is on the front foot here, Mayweather's best punch is going to be the left hook. When his weight is on the back foot here, Mayweather's best punch is going to be the right hand, right? But it's very, very, very important for you to understand that even though that's the case, Mayweather is not in the best position to either throw his right hand or to either throw his left hand. But Emmanuel Augustus is the one choosing which one of Mayweather's punches is most powerful, while Mayweather is choosing what position he's going to be in to throw what punch, okay? This is one of the most important ideas about boxing, about striking, about all of combat, is that your position is directly influenced, and what position you should be in is directly influenced by what position your opponent is in. And this is why boxing stances and people who talk, this is your boxing stance and this is that, don't know shit about boxing. Because your boxing stance is dynamic. It is influenced by the position of your opponent and what they are most likely to do in each of these positions. As when you are on your front foot, okay? When you're on your front foot here, and you're on the left side of your opponent, right? If this is your opponent's line, notice most of his head is kind of getting to the left side. That means the left hand is going to be his most powerful punch. So as he goes back this way, he's going to want to throw that punch. But let's also talk about the idea that as he was going from here, this position, right? this is the best position to throw your right hand. So now Emmanuel Augustus is going to go from the best position from his right hand here to the best position of his left hand. He can also be throwing a straight right hand because he was in the position to throw his best right hand. Now he's crossed the line with his active guard, and now he's in the position to throw his best left hand. And Mayweather, if we take a look at him, he's not moving at all. He's not crossing the line. He's just got his weight in the front foot. Now it looks like he's getting into position to throw his best left hand. Probably not going to be a left hook. It'll probably be a pendulum left hook, like a jumping one, right? Not a power punch. Maybe it'll be very likely be a jab. Okay, there he is, crossing the line a bit, shooting the jab. Okay, getting to the front foot and shooting the jab. But not able to isolate or tie Burton's position down, right? Not able to get Burton into the position to land that punch, right? So, just like I said, when your opponent is on the front foot and their weight is on your right side, your best punch is going to be your left hand. So here's Mayweather throwing his left hand at an opponent who's getting his weight on the other side of his body, right? So again, Mayweather is not even able to dictate what position his opponent is going to be in before he throws his punch. Again, another facet in the idea of not protecting your punches and not protecting your position. He did not protect this jab. Because Emmanuel Burton, I'm going to go back and forth. He was able to catch this punch, right? He was able to see it coming so easily, right? Which means at some point in the fight, this punch is going to be dangerous for Mayweather because he's not protecting it. And Mayweather doesn't have very good feints and probes at this point in his career. So he doesn't really have the ability to protect his punches. Now here, back foot, back foot, getting timed on the front foot. Mayweather throwing that punch. But I want you to pay attention to Mayweather jumping in with that punch, but not moving his head. Again, no power in this punch. He's throwing his punch across his own line, okay? He's not bringing his weight back, and that means that there's not going to be any power in this punch. And again, this is the reason that Mayweather has to use these poor defensive tactics like running around the ring, like ducking below the waist, because these tactics slow his opponents down in a way that Mayweather's lack of punching power and lack of feinting and probing can't. Okay? Mayweather landed all these punches. Bop, bop. But he has no power. His technique is so poor. He doesn't actually change positions. He doesn't cross the line. Look at where his head is. In spite of the fact that he's got pretty decent pendulum motion, right? He's jumping into this, jumping in, sliding into this right hand, jumping out of this left hand. But he doesn't have the technique to transfer his weight. He doesn't move his head. Now, again, think about that idea when you think about the fact that he doesn't have a very good position one. Now, one of the reasons, very likely, if we take a look at his punch right here when he throws his right hand, immediately his weight starts transferring back to his back foot. You can kind of see that his heel is not on the ground. All his weight is in the ball of his foot. That means that as he tries to transfer his weight to the front foot through the ball of this foot is actively pushing weight away, which is creating a dichotomy in his technique and not allowing him to sink his weight into his heel, which allows him to actually sink the rest of his hips, his shoulder, and his head onto his front foot. Again, because his technique is so poor, okay? Mayweather is not the best ever. He's not even close, okay? And again, without those tactics of ducking below the waist, without the tactics of running around the ring and allowing his opponent to chase him until he slows down, and look at Emmanuel Augustus getting into rhythm, right? Boom, he's finding that rhythm. Again, because most of Mayweather's timing is going to attack him on the front foot, here's Emmanuel Augustus timing him, right? Mayweather moves back. Now he's going to move on the line. And as he's moving on the line into getting his rhythm, he's easily timed. Again, he does not protect his punches, okay? He relies on his pendulum motion. He relies on that rocking back and forth motion, Errol Spence, to set up his punches, right? This is called the shoulder feint timing. This is the motion that you rock into, which allows you to throw maximum weight into your punch. Think about the pull counter he landed on Angel Manfredi that didn't knock him out 5 seconds into the round when he's cold. His opponent is cold. And that punch, man, that punch sounded so nasty. God. But again, Mayweather doesn't have a position 2, right? He doesn't have a position 1. He's kind of just sitting in the middle of his line, right? He does move his head a little bit, but he doesn't have a position 1, okay? And again, without the feinting, without the probing, without the running, without the ducking below the waist, and without the power in his punches, right? He's not really able to stop Emmanuel Augustus from putting pressure on him, right? And look at how effective is he being? He's blasting out of his guard, throwing his hardest punches. He's missing everything, right? Everything. And this is something, again, Mayweather cannot do because he doesn't have a position 1. He doesn't have the ability to get his weight on the front foot. Now, let's take a look at this, okay? Emmanuel Augustus is going to get on this position, and he's going to be able to defend it. But when Mayweather throws his right hand, okay, Emmanuel Augustus mirrors his position, okay? They are both transferring their weight to the front foot. This is a very, very, very important part of throwing any punch, okay? Number 1, crossing the line. Notice they're both kind of crossing the line. Mayweather's bringing his weight this way, Burton's bringing his weight that way, and they're almost mirroring each other's positions, right? The only difference is Burton wasn't exactly ready to throw a right hand, even though he has such good technique, such good body mechanics that he's always ready to slip to the front foot. Mayweather can't slip to the front foot ever. He's not even getting in a good position 1 here, and we're going to take a look at why, okay? Watch as he throws that punch. Emmanuel Augustus is there. He's ready to start getting back on the line, but Mayweather is pushing all his weight forward, okay, into Emmanuel Augustus. And this is because, again, not only is Mayweather not protecting his punches, right, which means that once he throws this punch, he's completely out of position, and Emmanuel Augustus is ready to counter. But once he gets into the position, he does not have the ability to defend his position 1 by blocking, by slipping, by rolling, by waiting for his opponent to attack it and countering, unless they're really far away and it's going to be a jab and he can pull counter it, but never from this close range position. Because his weight, again, is already being pushed out of the ball of his front foot, okay? And that's what causes him to be pushed forward here. Again, he doesn't want to fight Burton. He wants to tie him up, and he wants to spoil the fight, right? Well, not right here in this fight. In this fight, he's still trying his best to, put a beating on his opponents, right? But again, this fight is the death of Pretty Boy Floyd, and it's the birth. It's the time at which Mayweather realized, oh, I can't slip to the front foot. What can I do? What can I do, right? Now, here's one of the problems with not being able to slip to the front foot, right? Well, once you slip to the back foot, you have nowhere else to go, right? Nowhere. The only other place that he can go is down below the waist. And he hasn't started utilizing that, right? He hasn't started ducking below the waist to get away from his opponent's offense. Now, we're going to skip ahead a little bit. Actually, should we just watch the whole fight? I guess we should watch the whole fight. It's a pretty decent fight. But, slipping to the front foot, right? And Mayweather having a terrible time finding that position, right? Now, we're not going to. We're going to have an extended version where we'll watch the whole fight on Patreon. If you guys want to check it out, we'll watch it on Patreon. It'll be dope. So that's what we're going to do. But we're going to go ahead and move into... We're going to go into the 7th round, okay? Whatever round this is. And the fight is heating up, and Mayweather is bloody. He's been getting hit. And notice, the start of the fight, Mayweather's meeting him on the line, right? A little bit of quote-unquote running. But for the most part, it's boxing, right? He's waiting, he's countering, but he's not ducking below the waist, right? He's not running away from his opponent. He's taking his beating on the line like a man, okay? He's realizing that he can't slip to the front foot. Here he is running away, right? Can he slip to the front foot? No. Look at how far his weight gets to the front foot when he gets here, okay? Whoops, that's a bad line. Here, right? Okay, it doesn't start at the top at the perfect spot. But look at how much space he has, right? That he can still slip, and he's immediately leaving that position. Again, he does not have a good position 1. He does not have the ability to really bait punches there. And look at how easy it is to feint and get him out of position. Because again, without power, without the proper technique, because of the fact that he doesn't move his head, he doesn't cross the line, he doesn't have the ability to get his weight to the front foot, he has no way to get away from these punches without cheating. Without ducking below the waist. Look at him taking a beating here. This is what boxing is supposed to be, okay? Mayweather put himself in the worst position in the ring. He's not allowed to cheat and get out of it. He has to take this beating like a man because his opponent is going to. His opponent is going to be expected to, right? But what's the difference? Mayweather doesn't really have the power to put a beating on somebody like this. Mayweather doesn't really cross the line. Mayweather used so much energy exploding out of his positions, using poor technique, trying to explode, right? Look at him jumping into this jump here, right? Or into this jab. He's trying to get pendulum power into it, right? He's trying to add power by expelling energy, right? Layering this jab because he knows he's so fast with a little bit of power into it, right? But he's using so much energy and the rest of his technique is so poor, the pendulum power doesn't really work. And he just constantly finds himself in positions like this. Now, look, he's kicking his ass anyway, right? He's still winning because he's so strong. He's so big for this weight. He is such a highly tuned athlete. But it's not because he has good technique, right? It's not because his IQ is so high. He's getting destroyed on the line here. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, he's a young guy. He's this, he's that, right? But doesn't Emmanuel Augustus kind of look like a super poor man's version of Roberto Duran, right? Like super poor man's, right? He's not super sharp. He's not super, he's in good shape. He's a good athlete. He's strong. I can tell this fucking punch, that shit hurt, man. Apologize for the language, my bad. But without Mayweather ducking along the lines, on the ropes, doesn't this fight look a little bit like, oh, what would you say? Ricky Hatton versus Kostya Tszyu? Doesn't it? Kostya Tszyu didn't make it out of that fight, right? He also didn't cheat either. Okay? Who thinks that Mayweather would have beat Kostya Tszyu, right? Not even close. Just like Zab Judah, he would have got smoked, okay? And now, I think that Zab Judah had the potential to beat Kostya Tszyu on athleticism for many more rounds than he did. But anyway, the idea here, Mayweather learned in this fight that he didn't have the power to really disrupt his opponent's offense. He didn't have the power. He didn't have the technique. He didn't have the skill to really compete with fighters at the highest level. Look at him. He did land the more athletic and powerful seeming punches, okay? But he's still getting hit a lot, okay? And as you move up in weight and you continue to fight people, like, do we imagine that if this kind of fight, he would have beaten Canelo? Do we imagine that in any case? Like, even a little bit? That if he wasn't ducking below the waist and using those techniques, that he could have competed with so much larger of a fighter in Canelo? Now, I don't know if Canelo at that time was much larger, right? But again, someone who can land all these punches, right? How can he not hurt this guy if he's such a great fighter, right? And we're going to go into the next round. They start talking about how they're going to stop the fight too. It's a bunch of crap pretty quickly. But one of the ideas, again, no head movement, right? Without any of those factors and without cheating, Mayweather's a pretty average fighter. And this is the reason why Logan Paul was able to compete with him so well. Is because, yeah, Logan Paul's an average fighter too, right? But he's a little bigger. He got to neutralize a little bit of the advantage of the fact that Mayweather's been literally doing this his whole life, right? And definitely, Eric Kabamba, Floyd Mayweather definitely should have been able to stop Logan Paul in 8 rounds or less. Definitely. But one of the ideas that Mayweather has a problem with, right? When I talked earlier about it, we'll just keep playing. Mayweather doesn't let his opponents dictate his positions. He always wants his position to be his, and that stops him from always being in the correct position, right? That stops him here. One of the reasons why Mayweather sucks at fighting southpaws. Why? Because he can't get his weight to the front foot. He can't slip. And the front foot is the most important position, not only in boxing, but against a southpaw, right? And again, when Mayweather gets feinted by a southpaw, he has nowhere to go, right? He's just on the back half of his line, right? He's already slipped to the back foot. And this is why he cannot get away from the straight left hand. This is why all of his southpaw opponents hit him and hurt him, because he can't actually get his way to the back foot. Now, thank you, Augustus, for fighting southpaw a little bit. Mayweather doing a lot of work there with the jab, trying to set that punch up. Again, not really able to hurt this guy no matter how many punches he lands. Oh, they're going to take a look at it. So stupid. Anything to stop the fight? No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I do want to say that Mayweather was landing some hard punches, right? Some punches that would stop anyone who's not a professional athlete, right? If you're not a professional athlete, these punches are really hard, right? If you see him throw these punches on the bag, they're hard. If you're not a professional athlete, right? But if you're a professional athlete, these are baby pitter-patter punches. These are setup punches. But Mayweather only uses setup punches to attack the line so that he can try to use his head movement or whatever, or defense or whatever, to get off the line. He's not doing a very good job here, right? A lot of fighting on the line. Now, do we think that he would beat Ricky Hatton like this? God, no. Ricky Hatton hit way harder than Mayweather. Do we think that he would beat Miguel Cotto like this? No. Miguel Cotto hit way harder than him. Now, Miguel Cotto got beat with different tactics. Mayweather tried to tie him up the whole fight, right? Try to drag him to his back foot and fight him on the inside, right? You might call it holding and hitting. I don't know. But the ref couldn't see it. It's brilliant. It's working, right? But what do we do know? Well, he wasn't just going to be able to throw straight punches at Miguel Cotto or Ricky Hatton and beat them all night, right? At some point, he had to do the tying up, the running, the things that spoil a fight, right? Rather than the things that improve it. Now, this is an excellent fight. This is super fun to watch, right? Now, not all aspects of the fight are for me, right? The bystander, right? Or the audience member, or what do you call us? The fans? That's something else, right? Observer? I don't know. Some of the fight is for Mayweather, right? Like the part after, where he gets to be part of the Hall of Fame and smart enough to still be able to give a speech, right? Like, I respect that. I understand. I know. But you still got to learn to slip punches. You can't just cheat your way into the Hall of Fame by ducking under the waist, right? Look at how, if Mayweather was disqualified for using that tactic more than 10 times in any fight, how many championship fights do you think he'd ever have under his belt? How many do you think would be left? How many do you think would be turned into no contests? Well, I'll tell you, Canelo would still be undefeated. Maybe Canelo should have that fight looked at by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, right? Especially since he brings more money into boxing now than Mayweather does, right? Maybe he's got more pull. Especially since when Canelo brings fans into Vegas, they're boxing fans, not Logan Paul fans. Anyway, as we can see here, a lot of those really staple moves from Mayweather's Money May persona or style of boxing, not present here. Did his corner turn the fight, throw in the towel here? So, okay, let's take a look at this sequence, because if Mayweather's beating him up or whatever, I want to see it a little bit. But again, having a difficult time here controlling the space between him and his opponent, right? A little bit of lead hand control. Everyone against southpaw knows that, right? Good body shot. Oh, did that hurt him? Kind of made his body go like a little tingly, right? Oh no, he's fine. I think that's just the way he moved his legs. But Mayweather meeting on the same position on the line, right? Not changing positions at all. Very green looking movement, right? All these punches in one position, right? No head movement, nothing. And now, yeah, he's been able to kind of batter and beat Augustus a little bit too with his punches and the speed. Like, this is a pretty good sequence of punches, right? But the fact that Mayweather didn't have the head movement, right? The body, the positions, the slipping, the actual defense. In order to put on a performance like this and get the most out of his athleticism, to get the most out of his speed, to get the most out of these jumping pendulum punches, right? Because look at all these punches, right? Front foot, jumping hook, front foot, jumping hook, front foot, jumping hook, right? And he's throwing this hook and jumping back into position one each time, reloading, boom, reload, boom. It's an incredible amount of energy. It's an incredible feat, right? It's not an easy technique to pull off in front of another professional fighter. But I want you to be reminded of the fact that he still couldn't use his feints, his probes, his positional changes throughout the course of the fight often enough to protect these punches, right? Burton was, at most points in the fight up until here, able to counter these punches, right? Let's go take a look. Random round in round 4. Burton on the ropes, right? Let's just watch this whole round. Okay, round 4. Last round, guys. Nah, we're not going to watch the whole thing on Patreon. This is going to be it. But if you guys want full fight film studies, more boxing rants, more of me talking shit about mediocre fighters getting more credit than they deserve, check out my Patreon. Now, if you would also like the same kind of scrutiny of your own boxing work, your own technique, your own heavy bag work, your own sparring, your own everything, and you would like to be a fighter like Emmanuel Augustus, you would like to learn these techniques and the best way to train them, the best way to do this, check out my Patreon, my private boxing coaching. It's $50 to sign up, $50 a month, and I promise you, within a week, I will have you already a completely different fighter, okay? I will help you build your first routine. I will help you learn how to shadow box. I will teach you how to use the heavy bag. I'll teach you all this stuff, okay? So, now, if you would like to learn on your own how to shadow box, I do have a Vimeo package. Check it out. It's $149.99. It's $149.99, and I will teach you how to build your first routine. I will teach you how to throw all your punches. I'll teach you the mechanics of body mechanics, all the things that Emmanuel Augustus is doing in this fight. I will teach you how to do them, okay? In a very linear path to get you to learn your first shadow boxing routine, okay? Now, it's a couple of routines, but it'll teach you how to put all this stuff together so you can start learning and understanding what it is you're supposed to be doing in the ring, right? And that's $149.99, and that will teach you. You can learn at your own pace. You can watch the videos all at the same time, right? Boom, boom, boom. If you join my Patreon, I will teach you step by step, okay? So you'll only get as much work as you turn in, okay? They're like homework assignments, and every time you turn in a video, I will get a video back to you, okay? So, anyway, here he is against the ropes, not ducking below the waist, right? Eating a lot of punches, right? Doesn't have the best position 1. Look at him throw his weight to position 2, super off balance. Is that a good position 2? Look where his head is, so close to the line, not protected by any of his body mechanics, right? There you go. Mayweather starting to land some big punches, right? Now, let's take a look at these punches real quick. This is going to finish the film study. Big right hand, right? Okay? Doesn't turn that punch over very well. When he throws this right hand, he's already on the front foot, okay? And one of the habits that he has when he throws his right hand, he kind of jumps into it, okay? Actually, we're going to take a look at the Diego Corrales to kind of show that technique. But actually, I do want to show that real quick. So let's see if we can find some of these punches in here. Maybe it's farther back. Okay. Jumping when he throws that shot. Okay, you can't see the feet here. Can't see the feet here. Here we see when he throws his lead right hand. Look at his heel. It's not on the ground. We can see the shadow of his foot, right? We can see that the weight is on the ball of his foot, which means he's not getting his weight into that punch. Getting here into this position on the ball of both of his feet. Poor technique on that jab. No power. I know, I'm being nitpicky. It's important, though. It's important. Where's that lead right hand at? Here we go. So here you go. As he uses his lead right hand, all his weight is on the ball of his foot so he can continue driving forward, right? Remember we talked about that? This is what's responsible for him not getting any weight and any power into this punch. Anyway, that's going to conclude the film study, you guys. Again, that is the birth of Money May. Again, as he realized that as he fought better and better competition, more and more dangerous fighters moved up in weight more and more often, he wasn't going to compete with them through traditional boxing rules. He didn't know how to slip to the front foot, so he had to find other ways to slip punches or other ways to control his opponents, other ways to influence the flow of the fight, okay? And all ways that make the fight less fun to watch, less fun to be a part of, less actual boxing, right? Now, getting back to full circle, Ricky Hatton and Manny Pacquiao, right? Now, I say Ricky Hatton is a better fighter than Mayweather. 100%, he will be able to train and teach fighters infinitely more about boxing than Floyd Mayweather will. Okay? 100%. So why is it that Mayweather has a win over Pacquiao and Hatton has a loss, knockout loss, one of the most embarrassing in boxing history? I'm sorry, Hatton, it's bad knockout. Well, it's because of the fact that Ricky Hatton's not looking to mince weight transitions. If he's better, he's going to find out by fighting you. Okay? And that's the way boxing should be. Okay? Ricky Hatton shouldn't have any shame in his loss to Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is a great fighter. Manny Pacquiao is also one of those fighters that says, if you get on the line with me, I'm going to transition my weight with you. Whereas we have Floyd Mayweather, who says, if you get on the line with me, I'm going to transition my weight away from you.